Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host, along here with my engineer and co-host, Senor Jacob Santillan. How are you doing, my brother?
Always a pleasure. It's another wonderful Monday night after what was certainly a disappointing end to the Super Bowl, for me anyway.
Why did you bring that up?
Because I love football.
I love football also, but I'm still in pain, and I'm hoping that I can cover the pain with what I'm going to be speaking about today.
Hopefully we can.
We have to get rid of the pain, but it was a good game.
It sure was.
It was an exciting game.
Oh yeah, it certainly was a better game than last year's thrashing of the Denver Broncos.
Yes,
but
I enjoyed the whole thing. Suspense up until the 20 seconds till it ends. That you can't ask for a better game than that. So it didn't go our way, but it was an entertaining game. I drove 50 miles to a friend's house to go watch it. I thought I was going to be driving back happy. Instead, I was driving back. What did he do? But anyhow, I want to thank all those donors to the show. Thank you. KPFT gives you a big thank you for donating to the show. But we missed our goal by a little bit, so I still would love for many of you to go to kpft.org, and hit that tip jar during my show, and send a little something to the station to make sure that we keep going. Something we want to add to that?
Make sure to mention our show. One thing that I love, and I'm an absolute technophile. One thing that I love about the internet and electronics nowadays is that how easy they tend to make things.
Right.
One great thing about our website is that the more that you pledge throughout the year in between the fund drives, the smaller the goals and the shorter the pledge drives have to be. So
exactly.
You can give it any time. You don't have to wait for those pledge drives. Anytime. Just click on the tip jar.
So please do. Go to kpft.org, click on the tip jar during our show, and it'll come to Politics Done Right. And just do remember to put it in the name of Politics Done Right so that folks know that we're all doing our own. But, folks, we here, and again, I want to thank everyone who donated to the show. We hear a lot about income inequality and wealth disparity. We all know it, yet we don't seem engaged, likely because many think making a change is impossible. When we unchain our minds, we will. We get it done by learning. We get it done by sharing what we learn. We get it done by usurping a wealthy, centric economic system. The new Republican buzzword to counter middle-class economics proposed by President Obama is that word that I'd never heard before. It's called envy economics. They are so good with words. We're concerned about envy economics, which means if somebody else is doing good, somehow the economics is well, you get the point of what Republicans do. Go ahead, sir.
Another way to make you feel bad or guilty for being angry with where you are in life.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to forces outside of your control.
You're so right, Jacob. So the thing about it is they want to use that word envy economics to put you down and say the only reason you are not making it is because of you, and the only reason that you care about those who have made it is because you're envious. Don't fall into the word trap. One can be sure that they tested the phrase. Today we discuss how to unchain ourselves from our enslavement to the wealthy. That's what we talk about today. What do you think? Let's talk about it. But you know what time it is. You do know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Now, when I wrote this blog post, on the top of the blog post, I actually had a speech that I taped of Maureen. Her name was Maureen. I can never remember her name. Maureen Taylor. She's a Detroit activist that was fighting against city council that caused their water to be turned off on thousands of their citizens, and she had a long story that she told. And if you go to the blog, you can listen to her tell the story. But this blog encompasses some of what she said, but it also has a message. It's a rather long blog. I ask you to really listen to what I am trying to put out there, and then I'm asking you, give me a call. Give me a call, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. This is KPFT 90.1 FM. It's a call-in show. Here it goes. Title of the blog: Americans are enslaved by the economic system of a dependent wealthy. Americans are used to being told how to think and what to think. Freedom of choice is cherished, yet never really demanded. Americans have allowed the real dependent class, the wealthy, license to enslave. Those opposed to a true egalitarian society, where government, we the people, play a prominent role in deciding what is best for us all, claim that government should not pick winners and losers. They claim the free market is the best arbiter of the most efficient distribution of capital. What does that even mean? Potholes, medical needs, alimentary needs, shelter needs, and clothing needs exist irrespective of economic system, whether it's a communist system, whether it's a socialist system, whether it's a capitalist system, whatever. If these needs cannot be satisfied within the confines of the economic system, it means the economic system is flawed. The economic system is man-made. Needs, for the most part, are not. As such, it is the economic system that must adapt to a society and not the other way around. Those that practice unfettered capitalism are no different than the ideological clergy who attempt to fit their ancient scripture-driven ideologies into today's realities. The authors of those scriptures likely neither had the tools nor mental maturity to extrapolate into the future that is now today. But just like many have blind faith and believe in the absoluteness of ancient scriptures, so do those that believe in unfettered capitalism. It is all about the effectiveness of the tools. No amount of prayer will change the outcome of one who has Lou Gehrig's disease. No amount of bloviating will change the mathematical certainty that unfettered capitalism destroys the middle class and provides no pathway for the poor in the aggregate. The mathematics required to illustrate that fact is simple. The narrative necessary to maintain the status quo creates a complexity that gives plausibility to fallacies. Here are some common sense realities. The income and wealth of the rich are growing at a faster rate than the economy at large. That means income and wealth must be skimmed from the masses to satisfy that growth. That is exactly what has happened. The manifestation of this is lower wages, outsourced jobs to less expensive job markets, followed by the reimportation of jobs at a reduced wage. So in other words, they export those jobs. When the demand is lower than, they bring them back, but now they bring them back at a very cheap price. Cheap wage. How was this accomplished without notice? Economist Professor Richard Wolff's Capitalism Hits the Fan lays it out perfectly, and within the blog post you can get at my site, egbertowillies.com or politicsdoneright.com, you can actually find Capitalism Hits the Fan. It's a great video everyone should see on how we got where we were. He showed how Americans were enslaved by the semblance of prosperity pre-2008 Great Recession. Why did the middle class and poor not react as the pilfering was occurring? Detroit activists and Netroots Nation 2014 panelist Maureen Taylor's Frog Story explains it best. Very gradual changes go virtually unnoticed in the short term, but are profound over time. Now that the profound has occurred and is noticed, why don't the masses revolt? There are several answers. Salt Lake City Move to Amend performed a skit called Bread and Circus that illustrates one component. There is an old theory of how empires used to control their populace, Ashley Sanders said. Ashley Sanders is one of the representatives for Move to Amend in Utah. They feed them just enough bread to survive and sedate them with entertainment. Today, you get cheap processed food. You can get a lot of food for cheap today. I can name you places. You get a lot of food for cheap. And then what do you get? Reality TV. All over TV, you've got reality TV and a plethora of pointless, addicting forms of entertainment. So, I want to digress from the vlog a bit. So you sit down and you think about it. Why weren't people clamoring to vote? We know things are bad. How comes they didn't vote in 2014? How comes the voting is low? Because they're entertained, they have cheap food, they're satisfied, we are satisfied. Just enough that we don't want to make that effort because we think that effort may not really satisfy what we need. But we continue. Another component is the manipulation of our actions through manufactured hate. The gays will destroy your marriage. The Muslims will blow you up or cut your head off. The liberals will give your hard-earned dollars to those lazy black and brown people. Liberated women are baby killers. Black and brown men are to be feared. And on and on and on and on. Everyone is fighting each other while keeping their eyes off the real culprit causing them harm. The most devastating component is the chained American mind. Let me repeat that because this is important. The most devastating component is the chained American mind. One of the most effective commercials of yesteryears showed a slave liberated from the steel chains. And I spelled steel wrong in my blog. It questions if the mind was also liberated. Unfortunately, if the mind is still enslaved, one is still a slave. That is the new slavery in America. A slavery not based on race anymore. Though race and subclasses are used to feed it, Americans have lost their sense of worth. Every week on Shark Tank, a few capitalists, and Shark Tank is a program on one of the stations. Every week on Shark Tank, a new capitalist flushed with money decide if they will use someone else's idea to increase their fortune. Americans are mesmerized. These guys, generally devoid of scientific training, numerical analysis, and other skills, will make one of the beggars rich based on their hunch. Americans accept that because these capitalists are risking their capital. It is okay. They accept it because, as far as they're concerned, man, these guys are risking their capital, so it must be okay for them to profit off. Well, look, folks, Look, folks, it is okay for them to make a fortune that is that is cumulatively based on the knowledge of others, while the aggregate, most of us, the actual worthy ones, get pennies. Americans accept that the risk of the capitalist's fortune is worth more than the risk of the construction worker losing a limb or life. Americans make many other sacrifices of self to ensure the capitalist is comfortable and his risk is virtually risk-free. Donald Trump can be bankrupt 1 year and in full recovery 2 years later, yet middle-class Americans are still unrecovered after 7+ years of crisis and 30 years of decline. What is true? The average American is in the driver's seat. Americans can live without capital with basic skills. The average American gives worth to capital, not the other way around. One of these days, that light will go off and enough Americans will realize that truth. That is the biggest fear of the wealthy capitalist. The 47%, many of them talk about, is a psychological number, and here it goes. In their game, 47% are takers, almost half. The other 52% are makers. The 52% are mad. They are working hard while those loafers take their money. The 52% fight for policies. That doesn't benefit them. It benefits the 1% under the false belief that they are sticking it to the 47%, sadly. The 47% that are takers are just as important in making the economy run as everyone else. They are not takers at all. Their worth is just discounted in order to create the conflict between the masses to ensure the 1% is not the target as they should be. The most dependent class in our society, it's not the 47%. It's not the 52%. It's the 1%. The masses take care of them. The masses keep their factories producing. The masses invent the technologies that make them profits. The masses buy the goods they sell. And on and on and on. To move forward. How do we move forward? To move forward, the masses must remove the chains from their minds, discount the lies, educate themselves, and demand what is theirs. They must remove the corrosive nature of money out of politics. They must abolish corporate personhood and the tenet that money is speech, likely through a constitutional amendment. Americans must demand the return of ill-gotten gains by structural defects within our fraudulent economy through taxation. Americans must demand unfettered voting rights. They must demand that all employers pay a living wage. If a business cannot pay a living wage, it is not a viable business and just an extender of indentured servitude. Preferential treatment of capital appreciation over working income must end. In other words, you can't say on my capital I only pay 15%, but the guy who goes out and busts his butt and work every day can pay up to 30% in taxes. That's not how you build a middle class. That is favored to those on the top. No good. Social security taxes must be charged on all income. Charged on all income. Otherwise, again, you penalize those the bottom of your spectrum. Healthcare must be declared a right, with basic healthcare paid out of general revenue through taxation of us all. Higher education based on merit must be free. Every working American will pay it forward. A large inheritance tax must be reinstituted to ensure cumulative wealth cannot be extracted of the middle class wealth. America needs President Obama's middle class economics on steroid. That is how emancipation begins. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5600. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I need to give a station break because this is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, and Jacob is going to help me out with the other frequencies.
Galveston 89.5 FM, Goodrich, Livingston 90.3, and 91.9 in Huntsville, Texas.
Thank you, Jacob. Look, folks, I really want you to give me a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Let's talk about this. I want to hear what your feelings about where we're at. But let's go to Terry, line 1, my dear brother. Terry, how are you doing today, sir?
Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Absolutely. Talk to me.
As usual, all the problems stem from the vote. You and I can both remember when AT&T was broken up.
Yes.
That was the last robust government-sponsored execution of antitrust laws that we're ever likely to see.
Right.
At that time, you've seen merger after merger after merger leading to increasing economies of scale, decreasing labor costs, decreasing job performance, decreasing wages, increasing profitability for that class. Because of the erosion of the effectiveness of the vote, you have a Supreme Court that summarily has stricken down most protections afforded to the individual in favor of corporate personhood.
Right.
Because of the lack of the ability to vote, you have the repeal of Glass-Steagall, you have the deconstruction of the other protections of the economic base that was created basically post-World War II that added to the success of the middle class, or the formation and the success of the middle class, and the sustainability of the middle class. And then lastly, my last statement is the question, and simply this: how many times do you need to see failure before you understand that it's likely to happen? What happened in 1929 was because of unfettered capitalism. What happened in the middle 80s was because of unfettered capitalism. What happened in 2008 was because of unfettered capitalism. How many times must you see failure before you realize there's a structural problem?
Let me tell you, Terry, that is why we do what we do. That is why I do what I do. That is why you do what you do. And here it is, Terry. You are a well-informed person, and most of the callers that are going to be calling into the show that I'm having a queue right now, and I'm coming to all of you guys. So please note that I'll be getting to each one of you in the queue. We have to realize that we have an education problem, and I'm not saying this in any condescending manner at all. It is by design that we ensure most Americans stay uninformed. The reason we have stations like KPFT is to mitigate that. And this is the reason why we work so hard, and those that volunteer here volunteer so hard, because we feel it a civic duty to do what the plutocracy has prevented our schools to do, and that is educate folk into informing them that they do matter. But Terry, I'm going to put you on keep you hot at the same time, but I need to bring Bruce Barnes in. Bruce?
I'm here.
How you doing, Bruce? Talk to me.
Well, I thought that your blog post was excellent. It is so rich in discussing different things. And also, before we do things, on Saturday you were talking about economy and got into the banking. And
yes.
That got, I'm not a banker, so I couldn't join in on you.
Oh, wow, I wish you had called in. Wow.
No, but your blog post now is hitting everything just perfectly. There's so much to say about it. One of the things you were talking about is the capitalistic system. Mm-hmm. Well, the oil situation now, where the oil is down at like $40 a barrel,
right,
is much less than the $100 a barrel in the past.
Exactly.
Which that just shows how the cartel and keeping the oil at a limited amount of supply mm-hmm. has given all these oil companies and the big people all this extra money. If they can produce it at $40 a barrel at $100, they're doing quite well, right? So the capitalistic system does work both ways.
Yes.
And they've been taking that money out of the economy, and poor people have been paying a lot more than they should. Now that it's getting around to it, they're not liking it anymore.
But
they want to get the price of oil up and the stock market's down and all this stuff. But that is the capitalistic system.
Right. And
okay.
the thing about it, Bruce, that I'm glad you brought up the oil thing, right? I've always known, all of us have in the business, you've known that, Bruce, that, in Saudi Arabia, a barrel of oil can be mined for $2 a barrel. That's that's the reality. A barrel of oil in most of Texas for the longest time costs a whole lot less than the $40. I mean, you could probably $10 oil is not would not be all that unheard of after you have a well in production. So a lot of this is inflated, and that's why they're so profitable. And a lot of expenses that they show that they have aren't really expenses. It's just a way to call it expense so that they don't have to pay taxes on it. The luscious things that they do to call expense, that's what it's all about. But the sad thing about it is basic economic 101 would have told folks that if you have high prices on these commodities, a few people make the profits from these high prices. If the lesser price means that the average American has more money in their pockets, and it creates a more circulative economy. In other words, the money circulates more. If the money circulates more in the economy, we have a more vibrant economy. So we've been waiting on this for some time.
We certainly have.
But
and
go ahead,
there's two economies here, too. There's the human capital, which is wages and working, and most people who get by. And then there's the capital, which is just money.
Right.
With compounding, it just makes more and more money without anybody working.
Right.
So the way out of the wage situation is education.
Absolutely.
That is the one thing that we've got to fund, and if we're going to help any of the people in the 47% or even more than that, we've got 75% of the people here living paycheck to paycheck right now. And Janet Yellen a couple of weeks back said that in 1989, the bottom 50% of the people here made or had 3% of the wealth in this country.
Right.
It's now down to 1%.
It is sad, and worse. There's the OFAM came out with a study last week that showed that by 2016, 1% of the population will own 50% of all the wealth on the. You wanted to say something real quickly, Angie?
Yeah, and actually, by 54%. Of the wealth owned by the richest 1% by 2020. I think even more galling to me was the number, $1.9 trillion worth of wealth will be owned by 80 of the top billionaires, equal to the bottom 50% of the rest of the world.
That's sad.
3.5 billion people.
Yeah, our queue is pretty full. Bruce, I want to thank you for calling, and keep on listening. And if you have anything else, call back in, but I need to run through the queue. Is that okay, my friend?
Sure. Get right on.
Thank you very much, sir. Ricky, come on in, Ricky.
Hi, man. Hey, this is Ricky. First time caller here.
Thank you for calling, Ricky. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing just fine. How are you guys
All right, talk to me.
Okay, well, basically, I'm in agreement on one, part of your argument that it is a problem that there's such a small handful of people that have the majority of the wealth.
Yes, sir.
I think that is kind of that shows a little bit of imbalance, you could say. You know what I mean? But where I disagree with you is saying that it is because that unfettered capitalism is the culprit. Because I think that today's the economic system in America today is definitely a very poor example of unfettered capitalism.
I love that you said that.
It's certainly not a free market. It's much more. It's a highly regulated market, and I think that is what causes the imbalance. If it was left up to the market completely without any kind of regulation or federal regulation, then it would be a much more balanced system, and that things could work themselves out.
I want to counter you with one thing. First of all, I'm glad that you said that what we have in America is not really pure capitalism. We have a whole lot of it's a farce, really. It's actually, we have a state of, to put it bluntly, we have a soft fascist state, but I won't go into that in detail right now.
Right.
But what I want to tell you about the disagreement with your belief that capitalism is the answer, I would love for you to view a few speeches from economist Richard Wolff. Because what capitalism depends on, right, is the marginal difference between what you get paid for your labor and what your labor is actually worth. And somebody else profits from your excess labor on cost, if you will. And that is inherently unfair, because
how would you propose that you do it then?
I am not a genius or an expert or whatever, right? I don't have the answer for that. But there's one thing that I do know, Ricky, and that is
Richie.
What did I say?
You said Ricky.
And what is it?
Richie.
Oh, sorry, Richie. And the one thing that I do know, Richie, is that given that we know we built a fairly capitalist system here that
shoulders. I don't think that it's something that someone should be born with. I think we are born with a certain amount of rights. In fact, they listed them off.
Right.
We have the inalienable rights of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. But it's not like the happiness of another person is not my burden. And I think that someone should be able to live and be able to create a product with their own right hand and their own ingenuity and be able to sell that product for what they see to be an honest price without having to pay off everybody else or answer to anybody else or be regulated by somebody that is halfway across the country.
Now, let me just say one thing, because I understand what you're saying there, but here's the issue. That in a pure libertarian system, that would be true. I would have to agree with you by default. I understand that somebody doesn't want to pay for the health care of somebody else because, why do I have to be responsible for him? The reason why is something called society. We have a society for a reason, because we realize that we can do things better together than we can do it alone, and we decided.
I think it would work better without making it the regulation of the federal government.
And here's the issue:
it needs to be a competition, and then I think that for instance, healthcare would probably come out better for everybody if it was a competitive, and if it wasn't federal medicine. You know what I mean? If it was just private medicine.
And that is, I think that. Let me ask you something, because that is, I think that is a fallacy that Republicans have been extremely effective in selling. And let me tell you why they have been effective in selling, because those people opposed to the way they think didn't make the correct argument. When you want, let me tell you where competition works. If I'm going to buy lettuce, I can choose which lettuce to buy. If I'm going to have a heart attack, I can't choose where I go for that heart attack. It is healthcare is inherently not something that fits within the capitalist structure. I mean, there are portions.
What does the doctor do? Is the doctor not just like anybody else?
No, he's not. There's a difference.
And have the trade. He
needs
to be able to charge what he wants for said trade.
I understand.
It needs to come out of the pocket of everybody in the whole world for one guy to get free healthcare.
It is okay to think that way. It really is okay if you want to live in a system like that. If we decided that as a country we wanted to live in a system like that, where the person who cannot afford health care simply sits down and dies, that is okay. I'd rather not live in that society, and most Americans don't want to live in that society. However, what they don't realize is how it really works. As an example, let's say you don't have insurance and you fall and break your leg, and I see you in the streets. I'm going to take you up, put you in my car, and take you to get health care. And you know what? If you don't have health insurance or whatever, I expect you to still be taken care of, because we're a moral society in general. But look, Richie. The libertarian works until it doesn't, until you are the one who has to decide.
What a statement.
No, I mean, here's what I mean is it works.
It works until it doesn't work.
Exactly. But really,
it's like my Ford.
It works until you need a hand.
Exactly. And my thing is, as a human being, a moral human being, Richie, if I found you in a condition that you couldn't afford, myself and most Americans, I'm not even going to, even most right-wing Americans, they see you in pain and in need, they are going to want to assist.
And that's a lovely idea, and that's a lovely thing that probably does happen more often than not.
Yes, and what I'm saying,
the bad part would be is if they're helping me because they feel like they're going to be jailed or imprisoned.
No,
for not helping
and I don't think that's the case.
Because it's a law.
I don't think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear
you.
you.
The federal government should not have a hand in every single part of our freaking lives. You know what I mean? It's unnecessary, and that's why I think that medicine hasn't progressed very much. It could be progressing quite a bit more. Education is done. Went in the damn garbage. You know what I mean? And it's because we're turning over all the power to a handful of men.
Actually,
it's not necessary.
Richie, we're going out of the context of the conversation. I don't want to hit on that subject right now, but I think if we had an honest debate where we could actually compare systems, and America is a great place, but it has several subsystems that are very poor in the way they function. Other countries have these subsystems that have been very successful that we have refused to look at because our plutocracy prevents us from seeing it, because Americans would start thinking. But I appreciate you calling. I hope you continue to listen, Richie, because the way we move and make forward progress is for sometimes compromise, for other times convincing others that their thoughts may need some, I like to say numerical examination. But I really appreciate your call, my friend.
I hope you just understand the first point that I did make, though, real quick before I hang up.
Yeah.
You made the unfettered capitalism out to be the culprit, and using today's quote-unquote capitalist economy as an example, but really today's economy and today's economic system that we have in the United States is a very poor example of what unfettered capitalism would truly look like.
What is interesting is we both agree on that, my friend, but we disagree on other things, but we do agree on that. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for the call, sir. Keep listening. Wayne, come on in.
Hello, Egberto.
Talk to me, my brother. Talk to me.
Great conversation.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask that, well, I'm not going to say any name, but what would it look like if that $1 billion that some people are talking about spending on an election went to help the poor people?
And that's the thing. First of all, I want
capitalism.
Right.
Okay?
I want to defend my new friend Richie in that regards. I think. Let me tell you how we move forward, Wayne. Okay, in my opinion, I think listening to Richie, I heard an honest guy with an honest disagreement, because he has bought into the that pure unfettered capitalism on its own work. He has bought into that market way of thinking, and that is legitimate for him to have that belief. It is also for me as an activist to make the attempt, and not only numerically, because numerical is not enough. A lot of people who have an ideology, giving them the numbers is not enough. It's actually making it a part of their being, and that is the kind of stuff that I am attempting to do. And our friend Jacob is itching to say something real quickly. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, it's Jacob, to stay out of this.
First of all, somebody get this.
That was calling.
First of all, somebody get this guy named Wayne off the air. Talking about spending $1 billion helping poor people. That's un-American. I'm totally kidding. No, it seems I do find common cause with libertarians in some regards.
Right.
But when I hear people start to say things as though they care more, they side more with the unaccountable corporation than with the overbearing state. Okay, that's when I stop, because these are the kind of people who are saying, well, absolutely, we should let people turn our groundwater to flammable poison because of the market. And that's the free market's going to solve all of our problems. And in many cases, sure, they'll use the state to further their ends. But this is I'm going to botch this. I'm paraphrasing. Somebody said, I think it was U.S. Steel. They are not in the business of making steel. They're in the business of making money. So they're not here to help people. They're not here to look after human liberty and well-being. They're there to make money.
We just lost Mary. Mary, call back. I want to talk. We want to get you in there. I mean, there's not enough of a female voice that I've heard on this show. I want to make sure you get. So please give us a call back and have your say. But continue, Wayne. Go ahead.
But Jacob and Egberto, let me say this. I'm not going to try not to be too harsh tonight.
Yes, sir.
When I hear people get on the radio and start talking about unfettered capitalism and what the capitalistic system means and things of this nature, and I sit around and I watch the news and I hear people like Rand Paul get on a radio, on a TV program, and say that there should be a way that people should have like this epidemic is going on right now, like the measles, and he says that people should have their right to choose to take whether to give their children the shots or not. I don't think that's right. So we're going to leave that at that right there.
No, but Wayne, you're absolutely right. I actually think that is dangerous, and not only that is dangerous,
yes, it's very
that
dangerous.
Is irresponsible.
And when people get on and start talking like that there, and people side with those people, we're talking about a world here, just like when while this scare is going on about the Ebola,
right?
And with the Ebola thing, and those same people were saying we ought to keep Rand Paul, and those same people were saying we ought to keep people from coming into America.
Right
now. But the people that's here, that's causing an epidemic. Measles is not nothing to play with. First of all, let's get that understood.
Right.
This is a disease that can cripple a whole bunch of Americans.
Not only that, Wayne, but think about it. Think about Western countries who do their vaccination. Suppose now they put a quarantine on Americans come into their country because we have uncontrollable measles and uncontrollable diseases that people don't want to vaccinate against.
And we got idiot officials. I mean, people that's calling themselves wanting to be running for president, talking about a libertarian party, a Republican party that's standing up saying silly stuff like this here.
Wayne, I feel your pain, Wayne.
People don't understand it. But and I'm going to be through with it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say was, when we got started with this conversation is, I stand with those shell workers that's out there on strike right now.
Right.
Because they're really not talking about a wage increase, which they should be.
Right.
Because, like you said, productivity has to be paid for.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you refuse to pay for productivity, and they send our jobs over across seas so they can get them done cheaper, and then try to reiterate them back into this country on a cheaper wage for people to do, it takes away from our economy.
Absolutely.
That has always been the problem. Those people that advocate for that are libertarians and Republicans.
Right.
People must know this. I'm not afraid to say that to anybody. People need to start listening to that.
Well,
the other thing is, the main thing that those people at those shell chemical plants and things are asking for is safety.
Right.
And if we got there, excuse me. If we going to say safety and your job is not important, then there's something wrong with a part of America that definitely needs to be checked.
And that's what we have to do, Wayne, is again, we have to personalize all this information to Americans. And by the way, thank you for calling, Wayne.
Right.
You keep on listening, you keep on calling. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, the number is 713-526-5738. We have open lines. I'd like to hear from ladies. I haven't every person on air thus far has been a man. Women, where are you? I know you are listening, and you know what? For too long in our country, women listen to the politics. They have a lot to say about the politics, but they don't come on and talk about the politics and put some sense into these guys. So I challenge women who are listening. I want to hear from you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We need women to call in. You want a woman president? You think that the men have screwed things up long enough? You think that we want to have a different thought process? Where are you, ladies? Okay, Gus, come on up. Another man, but we need ladies. Come on, 713-526-5738. Gus, talk to me.
Hey, what's up, bro?
All right, talk to me, my dear friend.
I see that then. I might need to get my wife to get on the phone, huh?
You may need to get your wife on the phone because I want to hear perspectives from all sides. And, we get calls in here, and every so often we get a woman to call in. But women have a lot to say.
Y'all don't put y'all business out there really strong for the women, because women, it's a lot of politic women out there, man.
Yes,
women love politics. They politic their men every day. you don't think your woman she don't check you?
Oh, of course, women are the smartest.
Let me tell you, women is the one that make the world go round.
Yes, I do know that. Let me tell you, I've always said that.
You don't never know nothing today. Gus told you from Sunnyside. You gonna have a woman that tell you something, and you probably say nah. But after you think about it. That's why we took our rib out of Adam. I'm telling you. Hey, man, I bow down now. I used to say, man, I ain't listening to no damn one. What the hell is this one for? She ain't talking about nothing. No. They know how to make our money. They know how to make our food. They know how to make everything.
Yes,
but that's what
okay, Gus, talk to me about income inequality. What, do you have anything on our subject, my dear friend?
Yeah, I like to talk about it, but I'd rather let somebody else get into it because I don't want to be, I just want to talk to you, man. I like you, bro. You're my brother, man.
Thank you very much. You're my brother as well, sir, okay?
I'm going to put some in your tip jar tonight, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I do it. I just get online and do the tip jar thing.
Yeah, please go to kpft.org right now. You have...
but see, I went last night to Cliff.
Right.
And I put some tips in here that I thought it was you.
No, well, go now. You have to do it right now at 4 because I have 12 more minutes on air, and it's connected to my show right now. So if you go to the tip jar...
Okay, well, then how can I get it if I don't make it in 4 minutes?
If you don't make it in 4 minutes, you can go to my page on Facebook, which is...
no, but I'm going to try to do it right now. Let me get offline with you so I can I'm going to try to do this right now.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for calling in.
All right. You too.
Okay, look, folks. It looked like you wanted to tell me something, Jacob. I saw you pulled up your little machine there.
Oh no, it was a reference to Rand Paul saying something. And there are certain things that I would agree with Rand Paul, like let's quit the drug war.
Right.
Other things, then he goes off on weird tangents of course it's not your right. Or it's your right to decide not to vaccinate your child.
Mm-hmm.
I typically disagree with that, if only because what you're doing is exposing other people to potential diseases. And I was just reading an Onion article. It's a great takedown of this sort of idea that the headline was something effective. It's I do not vaccinate my child because it's my right to determine what eliminated diseases come roaring back.
It is sad.
And that's essentially what's happening.
It is sad what they're doing. It is absolutely sad what you're doing. So, Terry, what do you think about what you've heard so far?
Well, to the gentleman that touted the unfettered capitalism earlier, I would say the following to him. Perhaps he should look at the compounding pharmacy in New England that, because of unfettered capitalism, lied about compliance with the regulations and gave all of those people meningitis and killed several. Perhaps he should look at GM and what they've done to the ignition non-recall while they chased unfettered profits. Perhaps he should look at, and I don't know the name of the company, but they manufactured...
the airbags.
No. They manufactured drywall.
Mm-hmm.
Drywall is gypsum, and they were using gypsum from
China.
Japan or China, I believe.
That had mold.
And it was giving off. Well, it had mold, and it was giving off excess radon.
Right.
So, to the people who are always screaming about unfettered capitalism, I would suggest that before they open their mouth and say that, they apprise themselves of some of the realities of things that have happened in the world.
But Terry, what is important is this: you know that. And you can personalize that. The same people that you're going to see on TV tomorrow night who got hurt by the car, the same person that you see who has a dream home on the coast of Florida who bought that gypsum. And in fact, this happened to a friend of mine. He had a second home in Florida, and his house was built with the gypsum, and he was living in there while it was the moldy, and they got ill from it and so forth. There are all these things that are happening to American citizens that are hurting them, both financially and health-wise. And it's not generally the companies that are paying the bill to mitigate these. But worse, when you're dead, you're dead. When you get certain illnesses, it's over. And to claim that, well, you want, by the way, let me qualify something, because the pure marketer will tell you something. The market will handle even the regulations. That's what they say.
Yeah, because next time you'll just make a better decision after you bury your kid.
Right.
You'll just know not to buy from that company anymore.
And
right?
exactly. So they're telling you that the market will solve that problem.
Yeah, everything's just fine.
And it does solve the problem, because if you find out that this company only sells this bad stuff, you'll stop buying from it. But what the market has is no soul. What the market has is no humanity.
It is literally amoral.
It is amoral. And in being amoral, it means that good people die. And yes, the other good people won't die when they see some good people die. If you're willing to...
What is the Latin phrase on all the money?
Tell me, I don't know.
E pluribus unum.
Oh, that one, okay.
out of many,
right,
one.
Right.
If we don't stop this, every idiot has their own individual rights. Every idiot can pursue his or her own uninformed position, contrary and to the danger and detriment of the overall society, and we'll simply fall apart.
Caveat emptor, which is buyer beware, Latin for buyer beware, may make... that may be a common sense type phrase when you're purchasing this product or that. That is not an acceptable moral foundation.
It's
that is not
at all.
Not a safety plan necessarily.
And that is what they want. And the reason they want it is because it makes more profits. By the way, folks, this is KPFT 90.1 FM, and Jacob is going to tell me the other stations.
Yeah, also, if you're listening in Galveston, you're going to tune at 89.5. Also, Goodrich, Livingston, 90.3, and 91.9 if you're in Huntsville, Texas.
Excellent. Folks, give me a call. We have open line, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-KPFT. I'm still begging for ladies to call and tell these men something that they need to hear. I think, again, we are a very male-centric country, not because we have to be a male-centric country, but because a lot of times women don't call. But I see Ann is on the line. Thank you, Ann. Talk to me.
Well, you were just talking about the fact that the market has no soul.
Yes, ma'am.
And, yes, that's what people have to understand. And it's up to people, right, to humanize that. It's up to us to humanize that and drown out the voices of those who would, argue otherwise. And when you said that about the fact that, people don't care, well, let the buyer beware.
Right.
Yeah, that happens until stuff happens to them.
Exactly.
It may take, sometimes I don't like to use the word collateral damage, right?
Right.
But some of these things need to happen to a few of the people who are in those positions, a bit more. Then you begin to, let me tell you, when things happen to people, they change.
Well, you know what is interesting, Anne, that you said that, because, the Republican mantra has been to be pretty, as an ideology, the ideology that they follow is to be pretty anti-gay, anti a whole lot of things. And it was amazing to me to find out that when the senator of Indiana, I don't remember his name, when he found out his son was gay, he suddenly became gays suddenly became acceptable, and he then wanted to have marriage equality. That is just one particular issue. Same thing has occurred in several other issues throughout this country. They found that when it affects them, they want to change. Yeah, Jacob?
Wasn't there an oil company executive that sued to keep a fracking well out of his town or something like that?
Yes, that happened.
I can't remember the details.
I think it's in Dallas that it occurred, close to Dallas or something
like that. Up. But the hypocrisy of that
irony.
Is... Yeah,
yes.
The hypocrisy.
Anne, go ahead, Anne.
No, I was just going to say, the one thing about business is, and the one thing that hopefully people will see, because I come at this, from a business perspective.
Right.
I'm a marketing person that somewhat hates marketing. But the thing is that everyday human beings, right, are going to have to get more involved with understanding business. And they're going to have to take over the conversation when it comes to business, right?
Right.
Because we got to put a more human face. Well, what you want to see happen in cities and towns is you want to see a strong local business community.
Right.
You want to build a business community where people, yes, they want to make a good living. And I have no problem with people making good money. I don't have a problem with that. Right?
It's how you do it.
As long as it's done with humanity, and that's what I think that has to happen. I mean, you let the Milton Friedmans of
right.
the world dictate the narrative.
Exactly.
It's like regular, everyday people have to dictate the narrative, but they also have to become more educated and do things like, make it more human. Go into stores, go and find local stores, find people that live in the community that are doing business. You have to humanize it, right? Because it's not going to humanize itself at all.
Right.
So, everyday people have to put a human face on it.
Right. As Jacob said, the market is amoral, which is so true. Look, I appreciate you calling, and I hope you encourage other ladies to call, because I think the woman's perspective, and I say that from the bottom of my heart, is extremely important, because we are so male-dominated that we don't get the full story. Thank you very much for calling, Ann.
Bye-bye.
Now, folks, please do remember that this is a call-in show, and we're about at the end of the show right now. Thank you for being with me. Terry, give me 5 seconds real quickly.
Great show. Hope people get more engaged and understand the fallacies that they're propagating.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Terry. You have a wonderful day. Folks, we will be back next week with a new topic. Remember, ladies, I want you to be calling next week and be a part of the discussion. This is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies. Go to politicsdoneright.com. I'm out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.